So, we've talked about meta in the past, and one of the things you told me to do was, look for ill will and remove it, and annoyance and boredom and blaming people and so on.
Yeah.
Um, if I want to do meta, but I can't find any of those things, what do I do?
Okay. So when you consistently, meticulously remove things like ill will, you're not you're not just left in a neutral state, a neutral mental state, but rather it's a feel good mental state where you're ready to do something constructive about suffering. For example, you're more ready to understand experience as opposed to be overwhelmed by it. You're more willing to tackle something, to be more courageous about, um, whether it's a scary experience, whether it's a very attractive experience, and so forth. So, in terms of practicing metta, you don't have to actively cultivate loving kindness, wanting to be a mother to everyone, but rather you cultivate negatively, meaning that you're just removing ill will. But then the removal of ill will and complaints and so on and so forth will not just leave you in like a boring, neutral, uneventful sort of state. It's actually something that you could cultivate appreciation for. You go, wow, it's nice when the mind is consistently free from complaint, when the mind is consistently free from, you know, ill will and enmity, animosity, anger. It's like being with a old quiet monk who is not necessarily saying loving things to you, but there is something about his presence that is healing, that is accepting. That's the characteristic of metta. You don't have to put yourself in a lovey-dovey, sort of state. You don't have to be waxing emotions and so forth. And even though it's quiet, even though it's really defined by the absence of something, but there's something healing about it.
In general, should I be able to find some ill will and remove it? Because sometimes, like, I'm looking and I just
No,
don't see it.
no, not necessarily. But then, if you're careful, it may be that even though there's no full-fledged anger, but then there may be a little bit of annoyance or finding something annoying, finding something a little just like making you impatient and restless. You're finding fault with the present moment, and it's not just about the unpleasant or uncomfortable or painful nature of the present moment, but it's also about the way your mind react to it. Your mind is expressing annoyance. Yeah. And like if there are no negative emotions that you can find, no ill will that you can find. How do you practice metta? Remind yourself, this is what absence of ill will feels like. The mind is boundless. You don't have to actively visualize like boundless, spreading your mind out in every direction, but rather just experience how your mind is not stuck in anything. Your mind is not delimited, it's not constrained by self-imposed limitations. Your mind is not stuck. Appreciate that release of the heart. Yeah.
What do you think about like I'm going to Meta and I don't see any ill will. Bringing up a memory or a situation I think would make me angry. Like, oh, like I bet if like someone hit my car, then I would be angry and working with that.
Yes and no. So if you're suffering from recurrent trauma, like recurrent bothering from unresolved memory, then it's a good idea to deliberately bring out the scenario that you are troubled with. and then try to decondition that, right? But otherwise, once again, going back to your original question, let's say you're practicing metta and there's no ill will. What do? You go into equanimity. The way the four Brahma Viharas is set up is that you cycle through these things. And what is equanimity like? Equanimity is calm abidance, is it's accepting of what is there, right? Is the conserving of energy from blind reactions. So no ill will, great. Reside in equanimity. And the Brahma Viharas may initially start out with a lot of fabrications, but then as you learn to detect unnecessary activities and letting them go, then what? You're resting in the natural accepting nature of awareness. Phenomena that come and go. Are they being blocked? Are they being held hostage? Are are they being welcomed? Are they being clung to? No. It's like wide open space, perfect acceptance. That's equanimity. Increasingly, equanimity becomes just letting go. It no longer is about, some visualized mental state. This is why the Brahma Vihara is oftentimes described as a gateway, bridging the mundane with the transmundane, with the supramundane. The mundane part is where there's fabrication. You're trying to be nice. You're trying to be equanimous. And with regard to this equanimity, there is still a lot of fabrications. I am equanimity. I am the attainer of equanimity. I am enjoying this equanimity. But then later on, as you more radically accept all that arises and passes away without adding anything to it, then you are what? Abiding in awareness. And in that way, Brahma Vihara help you to transition into abiding in uncontrived awareness. What is equanimity? When there's no metta is needed, when no compassion is needed, when no when no sympathetic joy is needed, then you go into equanimity, as opposed to going into boredom, as opposed to going into apathy, going into some unwholesome state. And so, in such a way, practicing Brahma Vihara is just another way to help you experience inner peace. Whether you're practicing boundless consciousness, you're trying to experience inner peace. Practicing Brahma Vihara, you're trying to cultivate inner peace. With regards to the inner peace, you're trying to purify it. How do you make it more instant, more immediately available, less contrived? Do you have to stare so hard to get into it? Do you have to bridge some distance to experience it? What are the remaining activities you have? Maybe the mind is still complaining, still going, equanimity, that's it? That's all? Well, I'm disappointed. Look at all the activities that the mind is generating. Ultimately, there may be one remaining activity, and that is the I am activity. So as you're abiding equanimity, look at the sense of I am. The reason that we want to feel that the inner peace is immediate, is instant, is so close to you, right? And you train in this. It's so that you can more and more robustly and more naturally rest in awareness. It feels something very close to you. It's so close to you that it's kind of like your default state. You're more familiar with inner peace than with blind reactions to phenomena. You can ask yourself, is it difficult for you to experience inner peace? If you say, yes, it's difficult. What are the difficulties? Those are the hindrances. What is the mind doing that's making it difficult?
With regards to different types of meditation, like I'm thinking right now about balanced consciousness, mindfulness of the body, and the Brahma Viharas. Is it better to pick one and really stick with it, or can it be like this sit I'll do this thing, tomorrow I'll do that?
Okay, once again, all the great variety of meditation, you're just helping you to rest naturally, helping you to experience inner peace. What can not only help you experience inner peace, but it offers a useful vantage point on which you could refine inner peace. You could go, how can I make it more readily available? How can I rest more easily here? How can I see that it requires, little to no contrivance on my part? How can I happily rest and abide in peace? You see, so if you really understand the principle, then you are not caught up with the techniques. But then on the other hand, if you're really confused, you just go, you know what? I'm just so flustered. I'm just so directionless, right? I'm just feeling restless, right? Then in that case, okay, all right, then figure out a technique and just focus on that. Just keep honing it, honing it, honing it. If you understand the principle, then you don't have to be so dogmatic. You don't have to use brute force. You could be very fluid. You could be flexible. You could have this attitude of, ah, you know, let me play with it. Let me experiment. You could be playful and experimental without becoming restless. Sometimes in the Thai forest tradition, the ajahns, when they're asked, what kind of meditation technique should I practice? The ajahn just said, bring your mind down, right? And people ask more questions, just bring your mind down, right? Or, if you encounter someone like Shiramana, he said, just be still, right? Or just like be with silence. That's what they're trying to get at. Whatever can help you quiet down, and you're able to be in a position to further refine that inner quietude. So it feels more and more natural to you. That's the right technique.
Do you mind repeating what you said the principle is?
Yeah, the principle is simply to help you experience inner peace. Now, with regards to the inner peace, i.e., equanimity, the Buddha says you want to purify it. You want to master it. How do we purify equanimity? One way is by making it more and more readily available to yourself. What do I mean by that? Like, let's say that right now you're not quiet and you want to become quiet. And in your mind, how do you go from being not quiet to quiet? Oh, I needed to go through this. I need to sit. I needed to tell my mind to shut up. I needed to, there's a process, there's a procedure that you have to go through. The more complex the procedure, the longer the procedure, the less you are familiar with equanimity. The more you're familiar with equanimity, the less you think about the process. The less process is involved, the less procedures. You're just relaxing. You're just resting. To you, rest, to you, equanimity, inner peace is so familiar. It's you. It's like the essence of who you are. So you're not daunted by the prospect of peace. Maybe it's just a simple reminder, and then voila, right there. You see. And even in the midst of chaos, even in the midst of a lot of disquietude, you still go, I'm not attached to this. There's a way for you to immediately connect with inner peace. So your inner peace is less and less conditional on something. It's not even predicated on the presence of happiness. When you're not experiencing happiness, you could experience inner peace. When you're sad, you could experience inner peace. When you don't have comfort, you could experience inner peace. When you don't think that you're a good practitioner, you can experience inner peace. When you think you're a good practitioner, you can experience inner peace. So inner peace becomes less and less conditional. Whatever meditation technique can help you do that, right? So you keep purifying, you keep refining inner peace. It becomes closer and closer, more and more familiar to you, more and more feeling like yourself. Who is yourself? If you think, oh, it's this Jared who sometimes goes like this, sometimes it goes like that, right? If you think of that as yourself, you go, it's actually very difficult to be Jared. It's very tiring to be Jared. He has to sometimes be a son, sometimes maybe think about being someone's boyfriend, maybe sometimes, like being a worker, like a good, employee. Sometimes he has to be a good student, sometimes blah, blah, blah. It's very difficult to be Jared. But how easy it is for you to be peace right here, right now. That's what the meditation techniques are helping you to accomplish. It feels more like yourself than anything else, than any way of being Jared is. See? From this point, you could look at being Jared and go, oh, that's not me. That's delusion. Being Jared feels like a very tiring task. So is being William, by the way. Whereas being peace, how easy. That's me. What does it mean to be yourself? That means you don't have to behave any otherwise. You don't have to behave differently. You don't have to do anything to affect that. Remember the sense. What is immediate? What is instant? What is being yourself? Train so that peace feels like that. Everywhere you go, whatever, Jared is doing, there's a part of the mind that just inclines towards resting in peace. I just, I love it here. I'm not moving anywhere. I'm really not acting at all. Contented, perfect contentment right here, right here. And maybe you are even able to detect a little bit of desire to want to maintain it. Right? Oh, even this is unnecessary because it's right here. If boundless consciousness helps you, good, do that. If Brahma help you, good, do that. In the end, it's not about those techniques. In the end, it's about being yourself. What is truly being yourself? Being Jared is not being yourself. If you're wise, you see that being Jared is not being yourself. Being Jared is tiring. So how do I be myself? It feels like you're just going with the flow, wu wei, non-action. You can really rest, really relax. You don't like to bother with expending any mental energy. This doesn't mean that Jared stopped acting, right? Jared still does what Jared does, but then there's no exertion on the part of the mind. You have to be Jared to protect, the identity of Jared. Intimately resting in peace. The aliens can abduct you, do all sorts of weird experiments on you, make you become utterly confused about reality. Am I a human being? Am I earthling? Am I alien? Am I virtual reality? Doesn't matter because that intimate sense of peace is right here. It's closer than any other identity you can acquire. You may become better and better at this so that you don't even need to formally embark onto, the boundless consciousness technique. Formally embark onto the Brahma Vihara. You just needed a tiny bit of tweak inside you, a gentle reminder of the intimacy, of the immediacy of peace. That's it. That's all you need. When people ask you what kind of meditation you do, it's very hard for you to describe.
So by gentle reminder, do you mean like I just like a little bit of balanced consciousness and then there's all this peace?
Sure, or just a little bit of mindfulness, just reminding you, stay with peace. That's it. That's all you needed. Or simply as a single word like relax. That's all you needed. Instead of this entire frame, how do I do boundless consciousness? Okay, first I needed to do this, and then there's this complex visualization, this complex philosophical understanding of how everything is consciousness. You don't need any of that anymore. It feels so immediate to you. It's just being here, just being here. What is Wu Wei? What is immediately available to you? And then you're not even greedy about this peace you experience. You just want to be here. Whatever techniques you use, they will take you to a place where you feel like these techniques eventually become unraveled. They they kind of like disappear into the all enveloping awareness. And there's just peace. There's just this is what Shramana says. The only technique you ever needed is to be still and know who you are. Be still and know who you are. And maybe you're able to see that when you say, "Oh, be still." There's like, "Oh, I'm trying to be still," right? And that's unnecessary. Or even let that go.
Yeah, it's nice to
It-
hear about
mm,
these different techniques being unified around peace.
yeah,
Because I had like classical Theravada, like each method has its own purpose. Like
yeah,
Metta is good for sleeping,
yeah.
and so on and so on.
With experimentation, you'll quickly learn that that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes metta will cause you sleeplessness. Right. Sometimes compassion will cause me to feel really grossed out by the lovey-dovey feeling. I feel like I'm faking the whole thing, right? And so at the mundane level, at the antidotal level, meaning that you want to use the meditation techniques as an antidote to a problem that you have, maybe the Theravadins are right. But in the end, we're not just interested in that kind of meditation. Being still, being natural means that eventually you get to a point where peace is not something separate from you and you're trying to do something about it. Like you're trying to enjoy it. You're trying to hold on to it. It pacifies all intention to to separate yourself out and to want to do something, to try to get somewhere else. It pacifies all of that. Now, if this baffles the mind, if the mind goes, "Oh, I don't understand what the heck that's about," right? And just even that, even with regard to this mind, you're like looking at it in peace. You're not me. I don't know who you are. It's constantly practicing letting go, then doing it in more and more and more refined manner. And when there's nothing left, you realize that all your questions naturally disappear. Those questions only belong to the mental realm, only like an individual, right, obsessed about his personality, about his personhood, would have those questions. Yeah, make your method simple, 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 so that you need to think less and less. You don't have to prepare as much. You don't have to go through some elaborate procedure. You could be laying down in completely improper meditation posture, right? You're like looking really unappealing, unpresentable on the sofa, but then just immediately you're abiding in rest, in deep relaxation. It's in the state that wisdom happens. Peace will become so close to you, so familiar to you. It's more familiar to you than all the teachings you can hear. You can't utter whatever description you try to offer about this peace, they feel more foreign to you than the immediate peace. Stay with that intently. Just enjoy it, familiarize yourself with it, immersing it, bathing yourself in it day and night. Just even if it's just for 3 seconds at a time. You're not trying to force anything. You're not trying to, okay, for the next 3 hours, I'm not going to move. I'm just going to stay with peace. You don't have to do that. Just right here, right now. What is this moment? And if you do it in frequent spurts, each spurt lasts 3 seconds, fine, do that. And every single time you come out from the peace, you're happy to go back. You're happy to rest again. It's nothing scary to you. When you look at it from this position, you don't feel like it's anything far from you. So you don't feel like you need to travel a great distance to go back to being who you are. Being who you are doesn't mean being Jared. The chair is full of problems. Don't be Jared. In English, we differentiate uh, between the be verbs and the regular verbs, right? How do you be something? You could keep that as a sort of open-ended inquiry. How do you be someone? You have to do something to be someone? If you have to do something to be someone, then you're not that person anymore. What does being mean? And do you need an answer to this question?
One way I can work with peace is I just pay attention to my chest, and then peace comes up from that. Um, like I was working with balanced consciousness, and then it was just kind of like I could just like skip the balanced consciousness and go to that.
Sure. And then eventually you want to be able to see that even staring at your chest. Why is that necessary? Is peace caused by this activity? Now, if peace is simply reminded by this activity, then do you even need this activity at all? Can you not rely on an even simpler, more direct reminder that I'm right here? Peace is right. Peace is who I am. Being anyone, being anything is not peace. But peace is who you are, right? Now, I'm not telling you to stop staring at your chest, but I am saying that keep this, in the purview so that at any time, maybe very soon, maybe further down the line, you'll even let go of this process. You'll see that this peace doesn't require a procedure to get into. How do you make it even more immediately available to you? If you're relying on a method, like telling yourself, oh, I'm okay, look at that. Do you even need that? Do you even need that? Or do you even need boundless consciousness as a perception? Or is it simply like a reminder? Like boundless consciousness is a way to bring your attention to something that is felt more immediately. When you're staying with consciousness, it means you're abiding in awareness itself. You're not lost in phenomena. That's that's what that meditation is for. You could keep working on boundless consciousness, but then you have to work it in such a way so that you're arriving at what is easier and easier accessed, more easily accessed. You're arriving at what is immediate, requires less and less effort on your part, less and less complication on your part. You can abide in peace more and more frequently, more and more effortlessly. Okay. That should be enough for a day.
Yes, that's great. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you. Bye
Okay,
bye.
bye.